I'm worried that we're drifting apart because we can't seem to communicate without things blowing up. How can I get him to open up and actually work through our problems together instead of avoiding them? I'm scared of where this is heading if we don't figure it out.
What people don't realise, what a lot of partners don't realise, male or females, some of the biggest arguments out there, what's the root cause of it? A lot of the time it's over the most smallest,
Petty stuff.
petty thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, guys, what you say, my people? Welcome back to the show. It's your boy Answer.
It's Sakib.
And your boy Hobbs.
And you're tuning into After 5 Club. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Please like, comment, subscribe. Boys, how we doing, boys?
Same old.
Same old, man. Any updates on the EDL stuff then?
Do you see in Wolverhampton?
Yeah, Wolverhampton turned
Big
up,
up
man.
Wolverhampton.
Turned up, man.
Yeah.
Bro, that's mad respect, innit?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, whole community, everyone got together, like, nah, we ain't having him.
I swear the whole lead up to it, everyone was like, oh yeah, they're going to turn up. And the Wolverhampton was like, no, we ain't having that, bro. You come into our ends.
Yeah.
See, let's see what happens, innit?
It just shows though, innit? London's somewhat untouchable.
Yeah.
I know like other parts of London.
Don't get me wrong, London still has its like negatives, but like when the community comes together, it does come together.
That's because it's so multi-diverse compared to like the outskirts, Sunderland, all of these areas. There's the diversity is not much, you know.
Why, has anyone actually figured out like why is there so much hate? What are all these people trying to do?
It's all the migration stuff, isn't it? It's a migration issue, isn't it?
Migrations, immigrants, yeah. So definition of immigrants is anyone who aspires to become a permanent resident in the UK, yeah, or in our case in the UK. So like people like us would be second or third gen immigrants. But I think what their aim is to get rid of all immigrants.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't get me wrong, yeah. Like, I understand the issue that the country are letting in a lot of people, and our country doesn't have the means or the facilities to accommodate for everyone. That's why you're seeing a lot of issues in the healthcare, jobs, stuff like that, which is fine, I get that. But who are you to say that people who come from abroad shouldn't have a chance at a better life just because you're born in this country? Yeah. Essentially, everyone's coming to this country for a better life, right? Who are you to say no? You shouldn't come into our country because you're born here and your heritage is from like it's whatever, it's English. Which, by the way, not all these English people, the heritage isn't.
They're also immigrants.
Yes, like, they come from Germany, Scotland, all these other places, Poland even.
Yeah.
So who are you to say that you can't come into our country and start a better life? That's essentially what it is.
And I think what doesn't help is, you know, the media feeding all of this stuff, propaganda. You know, it's like you can tell they're trying to set a narrative.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just making things worse.
It's confusing because like the government aren't really like too against it, the immigration problem. But then you're seeing a lot of like big names, like big influence, like the Elon Musk, like the Andrew Tate. They're all like going against it and saying, "Oh, there's a problem in the UK. There's a problem in the UK," and it's like, bro, you have a big platform, you have a big influence here, and you're here saying, oh, there's a problem with immigration, there's a problem like Asians should be coming, like Muslims specifically, like they have a problem with Muslims.
I think at the moment Muslims are being used as a
they're being targeted, aren't they?
But there will be, I mean, eventually who's next? Do you know what I mean? It's slowly by slowly going to go to everyone. I think the problem is you have to sort of realise UK is an aging population, right? So if you actually think about it, majority of the younger population, they all plan to move out, and hardly any of them are staying over here. The people who done well, even the original English people, they've all moved out. They've gone to like South Africa, Australia, Middle East. Well, nowadays a lot of people are going to the Middle East. Yeah. So if you think about it's an aging population, it's mainly the people who are reaching like retirement. They're the sort of people who would want to probably stay over here. They don't want to move out. They don't, you know, because obviously they've also got healthcare as well, innit? The older you get, the more healthcare you'd need. You got free NHS. So like the residents over here. So if anything, the government actually needs immigrants to keep the economy running.
100%.
Really and truly. And this is what a lot of the people in the outskirts don't actually realise in the smaller sort of cities and towns and all that. like they don't actually realize that the country actually needs immigrants. Otherwise, the trajectory will be very, very downhill.
It's not
pretty much.
sustainable. You know, they won't be able to sustain the economy.
Yeah,
Because last week I said obviously like the migrants here, they do all the jobs in it. Of course, there's English people that are doing the jobs as well. But what I was trying to get at is that if you do take that away from them, right? It's like we're talking about the nitty gritty stuff, the nursing, like the stuff that people don't want to do. Obviously, most English people they're gonna put their hands forward and be like, yeah, I'll do that. No, they don't. You know,
There's a skill shortage. That's what it is as well.
Carers, man.
Carers as well. That's another one, man. That's another like job that you have to be like, you have to be mentally strong and like, it's a hard job.
Bro, I saw some very, very funny clips, man. Like, as in people with like kebab shops and like corner shops even. Right? So like, you know, people with them sort of shops. All of a sudden, EDO wins. All these the English people like they're like super, super happy. Like they're all gone. They go down to a kebab. Oh yeah, let's celebrate. Let's go get a kebab.
You're an Indian.
Crap, there's no kebabs. How do we make kebabs? But yeah,
good on, man.
You're cutting that out, bro. I'm taking a fucking piss.
That was so sick,
bro.
dude.
Nah.
I'm keeping that in.
Bro, you can't just spud him for knocking me down and then try to spud me. Nah.
I'm keeping that in.
Yeah.
Alright, bro, let's move on, man.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Right, boys. Let's move on. So last week we did a Who Am I, which I thought was quite nice. That's quite good. So I've got a few more for you. Yeah, let's see if you get this time. Yeah, last time I think I kept it a little bit easy for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this time, yeah, man, you man are getting in.
Alright, let's start, bro.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let me just go through this 1 second. Right, come. Remember the rules? 3 chapters, few answers.
I won
Starts
both
off
of them
on-
last time, right? Yeah, I did.
You want both of them, bro.
Yeah.
You want both of them,
Just a
bro.
little reminder for the audience.
Yeah.
All right, come.
I think now, because obviously, you know, the last time, you know, the first scenario was Batman. I knew it was Batman as well, but if he says it first, and then if I feel like we should do, after we finish, whoever feels they're confident to give an answer says it first.
Yeah, you say it.
If that makes sense.
Say it, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah. You just shout out, but you only get one chance.
One chance.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Done.
Perfect.
Right, come. Chapter 1. I moved to a new city, hoping to start fresh, leaving behind a complicated past that I wanted to keep buried. The city was alive, full of energy, and I quickly found myself in a close-knit neighborhood where everyone seemed to know each other's business. Next door lived a family that caught my attention. A mother struggling to keep her small restaurant afloat, a stern grandmother who tried to maintain order, and a young woman who carried an air of sadness, burdened by responsibilities beyond her years. I didn't intend to get involved, but something about them, especially the young woman, drew me in. I couldn't help but want to make their lives a little bit brighter to ease the pain I saw in their eyes. Any guesses?
Galhono. Did I get it?
This guy's too sick with it, bro. He's too sick with it, bro.
Wait, is actually...
Yeah, bro.
I don't know the storyline.
You seen the movie, innit?
I've seen the movie, but...
Shit, man.
Bro, you're actually sick,
That's
bro.
actually, I actually rate you for that. That's actually
How
quite
did you
good.
get that?
Yeah.
Bro, it just made sense. Like, I think moved to another city, restaurant is struggling, daughter's like very miserable, and there's something about her that drew him in. Yeah, it sounds like
Bro,
Galhono.
I'll flip it. Even I know that movie, yeah. I've
But I
seen it many
wouldn't know,
times, yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't have got that. I would not have got
Wow.
that. That's too vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell he loves his Indian movies.
Man.
You got another one?
I got another one. Right.
3-0 loser.
Yeah.
Alright, come.
Done.
This one, yeah, hopefully you won't get this one. Yeah.
Done.
He's Indian, because I'm not going to get it.
I can't tell you. Chapter 1. I grew up navigating the narrow, crowded alleys of a bustling city, where the rich lived in the grand palaces and the poor, like me, did whatever it took to survive. My home was the streets, a place where you had to be quick on your feet and even quicker with your mind. I learned early how to get by, picking pockets and pulling small cons. It wasn't a life I was proud of, but it was the only one I knew. Yet, despite my circumstances, I couldn't stop myself from dreaming of a better life, something more than the hand I'd been dealt with.
Robin Hood.
Like, I guess.
Yeah.
Hunger Games.
No.
No?
No.
All right, next chapter.
Any clues though? Keep yourself. You already guessed it, but obviously you already said that on the part.
Yeah.
It sounds like a typical movie. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
very
does, it
vague as well. I don't know, power. I don't know. Wait.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah.
No, you already said your
Off
guesses.
camera, off camera.
No, you already said your guesses. No.
Okay, next one.
Can you repeat it?
I feel like I missed some bits.
Yeah.
Go on.
Chapter 2. One day, I crossed paths with a mysterious man who offered me an opportunity that seemed too good to pass up. He spoke of a hidden treasure, something that could change my life forever. If I was brave enough to find it, desperate for a way out of my life of petty crime, I agreed to his plan. The journey led to a forgotten, secluded place outside the city, a dark, ancient cave. Inside, I found a small, dusty object. Disappointed at first, I nearly left it behind, but something told me to take it with me. I had no idea that this simple object would hold the key to everything I ever wanted.
In a cave. Did you say cave? Bro, I genuinely don't have a clue.
Take a wild guess.
Go on.
You go first.
It's something that I've not seen. I don't think. Bro, it can't be that hard to the point where basically you can't be selecting movies that we haven't
both
seen.
of us
They have to be
haven't
like.
You have. Guarantee it, you have. 100%.
Titanic? Oh, I was trying to think like metaphorically.
Lord of the Rings.
Right, last chapter, yeah?
Mm.
If you get it, just shout out the answer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 3. Back in the city, I discovered that the object wasn't just a piece of junk. It held a hidden fortune, a treasure trove of jewels and coins, remnant of long-lost civilization. With this newfound wealth, my life transformed overnight. I went from being a nobody on the streets to a man of influence, someone with the power and means to shape my own destiny. I used my fortune to climb the social ladder, catching the attention of the city's most powerful people, including a woman whose beauty and status once made her seem completely out of reach. But with wealth came the new challenges, jealousy, greed, and the fear of losing everything I had gained. My past threatened to pull me back, but I was determined to hold on to my new life no matter what. This is the story of how I went from a forgotten face in the crowd to someone who made his own legend, all because I took a chance and found my own way in a world that wasn't built for my like.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I'm gonna get this right.
Let me repeat one more time, yeah? Right? Let me say one more time. I'm gonna make it somewhat bait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you better get this, yeah? Chapter 3. Back in the city, I discovered that the object wasn't just a piece of junk. It held a hidden fortune, a treasure trove of jewels and coins. Remains of a long-lost civilization. With this newfound wealth, my life transformed overnight. I went from being a nobody on the streets to a man of influence, someone with the power and means to shape my own destiny. I used my fortune to climb the social ladder, catching the attention of the city's most powerful people, including a woman whose beauty and status once made her seem completely out of reach. But with this wealth came new challenges, jealousy, greed, and the fear of losing everything I had gained. My past threatened to pull me back, but I was determined to hold on to my new life no matter what. This is the story of how I went from a forgotten face in the crowd to someone who made his own legend, all because I took a chance and I found my own way in a world that wasn't built for people like me.
Do you have a clue?
Clue.
Okay, it's a movie, right? And again, it's another old movie, but there was a remake of it recently. And it was a big movie as well. So there was a guy who was poor on the streets, came across someone, told him to go get something from a cave, an object. And that object, yeah, the object was what led him to that new fortune. And with that, he became powerful. He met a woman, beautiful.
Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. How did you guess so? I'm just so crap at
Oh,
this.
God, you need to read between the lines, bro.
How did you guess? What made you think it was Aladdin?
Huh?
What made you think it was that?
Like, he's a scum, and he finds an object, and that's what opened
Object
up
was the flipping, the lamp.
genie.
The lamp.
Yeah, where you rub the,
He rubbed the lamp.
rub the lamp.
Do you know that I don't even remember the story behind it?
But you know Aladdin, man. Come on, Aladdin.
The flying carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
If
hard.
you mentioned flying carpet, then I would have got it.
Yeah.
No, but it's not meant to be that easy, innit?
Yeah.
Fair enough, man. That's another 2 for Sakib, man.
Yeah, man. Well
Four,
done,
man.
man.
4-0.
Bloody hell. Alright, guys, moving on. We've got another challenge, man. Challenge is behind you, Sakib.
Ooh, what are these?
Oh, we're gonna bring back an old challenge, bro. The chubby bunny challenge, man.
They're halal, by the way.
Halal, yeah, marshmallows. Yeah, man. Let's give it a go, man.
How does it work? So tell us what
So you have to pop a marshmallow in your mouth,
Yeah.
one each, and say chubby bunny.
I mean, this is something that I might actually win at.
You think so? I reckon.
How many do you think? 6?
I don't know, bro. I think I can handle quite a lot. I don't think that pack is going to be big enough.
I don't
bro.
think that's going to be enough for me, especially. I think that whole pack I can probably do.
Nah. I reckon I'd probably put like 4 in my mouth.
4.
Yeah.
Got a small mouth, innit?
Yeah. So sorry for you.
Right, come. Let's go. Who wants to go first? I go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you pop in your mouth. Chubby bunny. Next person, and we'll keep going. Yeah. Pick one. I like the pink ones.
Yeah, go on.
Chubby bunny.
So is that you're not allowed to chew it?
You have to keep it in your mouth. Don't bite it as well. You can't bite it.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
It's too easy.
It's too easy.
Chubby bunny.
He's gonna flop. He's
Yeah.
not gonna. Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
We should have kept some tissues in it just in case.
Chubby bunny.
Struggling so much, gone.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
But I want to eat it.
Same.
You're not allowed to bite it, yeah?
No.
You can't bite it, yeah?
Okay.
Chubby bunny.
A bit.
No, I'm pushing it to the side. Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny. Well, it's hurting a bit of my jaw. It's hurting a little bit.
Yeah, it's like
Back.
fully come out.
Chubby bunny.
This was such an old thing. Do you remember how many years ago? You just followed that straight.
No.
This is getting nasty.
Chubby bunny. Oh fucking god, man.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
Billy, I'm sorry. Chubby bunny. My mouth is hurting so much right now. He looks at me.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny. It's just starting to melt though.
Just stop.
Chubby bunny. My mouth is hurting so much.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
Oh, you're going on. Good God. Chubby bunny.
This is doing quite good.
Chubby bunny.
Do we count that?
Yeah. Chubby bunny. I don't like it.
Going off. You're gonna choke.
Chubby bunny. Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
But I'm feeling sick now.
I'm gonna do one more, man.
Keep going.
Chubby bunny.
You don't like the texture.
I don't like that. I don't like it. Chubby bunny.
Kan du komma? Komma?
Sorry, so gonna come out.
Chubby bunny.
He's done quite sick.
He's not sick.
Go big off, huh?
Until now.
Would you quit?
Chubby bunny.
One more.
No.
Chubby bunny.
Yeah.
But I don't want it anymore, man.
If I open my foot, it's gone.
You're nasty. This is nasty.
Chubby bunny.
You're done. You're done. You're done.
Oh my god. He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, done.
He's biting it. He's biting it.
Chubby bunny. No, this is what? Chubby bunny. What's that?
Enough about.
I don't know what's on.
I can't do it anymore.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny. Chubby bunny. I can't do it anymore. I'm done.
No, I'm done.
That doesn't count. Try one more time. Oh, it hurts. I have to do it.
Yeah.
This is easy. Solo. You're used to it.
Chubby bunny.
You did it. Hold on. Yeah. Chubby bunny. Yeah. This is between me and you, not me.
Chubby bunny.
It's not dua time now. Come on.
Chubby bunny. I just have to the side.
Say.
Oh, but there's nothing.
Chubby bunny. This is easier now. What the hell?
You're a pussy, bro.
I don't think we can finish. I think we'll know. Yeah. We'll be fine.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny. I don't do it. I think I've done it. I think me and you just.
Chubby bunny. We finished it.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny. Done it. There you go. Fucking throw on it.
Draw. Football. Chubby bunny.
Second attempt.
Right, lads, moving on. So this week's question says the following. Hi, I'm about a year into my marriage and I'm starting to feel really stuck. Okay. My husband and I have been clashing a lot lately and I'm finding it so hard to talk to him about it, what's bothering me. Whenever I try to bring up an issue, he just shuts me down or tells me he doesn't want to talk about it right then. Sometimes he won't speak to me for a couple of days after a disagreement, which makes everything feel so much worse. I'm worried that we're drifting apart because we can't seem to communicate without things blowing up. How can I get him to open up and actually work through our problems together instead of avoiding them? I'm scared of where this is heading if we don't figure it out.
So basically, when she has issues, she wants to be vocal about it. He doesn't like to be vocal. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, he likes to leave it for a couple of days.
Leave it. and just squash it. But when you start having confrontations, he's going to hold on to it. He's going to be like, look, I don't want to talk to you for the next couple of days because we had this encounter.
And now she's feeling like it's gonna it's gonna be detrimental to their marriage.
I think the main thing is, what people don't realize, what a lot of partners don't realize, male or females, some of the biggest arguments out there, what's the root cause of it? A lot of the time it's over the most smallest,
petty stuff,
petty thing, right? And I think the trouble is, when you actually think deep about it, is it really worth arguing about? I think it kind of shows that obviously the person's only been married a year, right? But as years go on, I'm sure she'll probably understand that the best way forward is you can always agree to disagree, right? And if you already know that one person is going to have one-sided opinion and you've got another, then there's no point in even arguing about it. You're just better off just leaving it, because there's not going to be any winning.
100%.
It's not winning for her, it's not winning for him. You just need to, each to themselves, isn't it?
Yeah, because like we mentioned last time as well, because that year mark, your honeymoon phase is fizzled out now,
Yeah.
So now you're like clashing, right? It sounds like they're clashing now,
Yeah.
And they're not coming to any sort of agreements. They're coming to problems and they can't figure things out, right? My thing is, everyone's got a different style of like arguing, right? Because when I think about me, my style before would be the same approach. Like I would be like, no, we're sitting down right now.
You have to deal with it right
now,
yeah.
right here, right now. Otherwise, we're not moving forward, right? Now it's like I prefer that approach where it's like, just leave it for like a day or two. Don't say anything in the heat of the moment, because when you're angry,
you can do more damage.
You're going to do more damage. You're going to say things you're going to regret after. And I think for me, that's quite important, because if you do leave it for a couple of days, you calm down a bit, you thought about your approach, what you've done, you reflect, blah, blah, then you come back together and be like, cool, you know what, this happened. If I need to apologize, I'll apologize. This is why I got angry. This is why we had the argument. Move on. Right? Do you know what I'm saying?
You're not always going to win an argument.
No.
You're not always going to convince the other person that your opinion is right.
You got to pick your battles, though, man. There's some arguments you've got. You know what? It's so small, so minor. There's no point. Like there's no winner loser. Just move on from it.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
I think. Look, if it's something big worth arguing about, involves your parents, for example, or something like that, then fair enough. Like I get it. Yeah. Even then, you can still have differences of opinions, but then you lay down the grounds, right? But if it's something like over something like, oh yeah, you know what, I didn't go to my mail shop. Like as in, I went to, all day today we've gone to Lakeside and we've only just gone into women's shops and I've not had the chance to go to a man to, I also wanted to get this, that, blah, blah, blah. Is it really worth arguing about? It's something small. It's fine. That's fine. You know what? Next week I'm gonna go do my stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just work out a plan for yourself. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's the guy's perspective, but for a woman, she can just easily work out her perspective as well. But as in, it's just not worth arguing and causing permanent damage. Like, do you know what I mean? Because over time, when you start having ongoing disputes and disagreements, you start losing your affection, your love, your bond. You're not talking to each other. And when this happens once a month, and then eventually twice a month, eventually four or five times a month, before you know it, you're just living with each other just for the sake of living with each other. So it's important to not get into that, into that sort of stage in your marriage. Because
I hear it, because I recently just got married, and I'm still considered to be in the honeymoon phase, right? So when we do have disagreements or arguments, right, where our first sort of thought is, right, let's just see how we can nip in the bud, let's just get over it, right?
Yeah.
But I understand, like, after couple years, you want to stand your ground. You don't want to like roll over just like that. If you know you're not in the wrong, the last thing you're thinking, let me just go and apologize to her and let's just move on. You really and truly, like, because you've been living with that person for a couple of years, and if it's a recurring thing, there's gonna come a point where you're just like, you know what, nah, I'm not gonna back down today, right? I know I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not gonna apologize. And then that builds, and she's probably thinking the same thing, and then that's how the one small minor issue, like you said, just blows out proportion.
No, that's a very important point, actually. You you can't let it get to a stage where you're always just going to be avoiding and you're just shutting down and letting the person say what they got to say and all that sort of stuff. Because by the end of it, the one time you do explode, they're not going to be expecting that, and that's going to do you even more damage.
100%.
So try find the balance. Let the other person know that, you know, one thing. If I'm keeping my mouth shut, you also need to keep your mouth shut. Doesn't mean that I'm listening to your shit and I'm agreeing to it. Do you know what I mean? Hobbs, you've been very quiet, man.
No, because I think what you both said is fair and is right. And I think for me, my advice would be, because again, as you know, everyone's marriage and everyone's relationship is completely different. Everyone has a different way of, everyone has different coping mechanisms and how they kind of vent their frustration, their arguments. So it's one of those things where one rule doesn't fit all. But my personal advice would be, at the end of every night, you know, you and your other half, you know, just spend a few time out and just reflect. So that's what my advice would be. Just at the end of the night, you know, when you're in bed, before you go to sleep, you know, just both of you make it a habit to reflect how your day went, you know, and usually towards the end of the night is when people are tired, they're more understanding, because obviously if you do it in the middle of the day or when you wake up, it's the first thing in the morning, you have to also, timing is important in situations like this. So usually evening time, or, you know, once they're fed, or, you know, once everything is in a good state, you know, regularly keep having updates, and at the end of the day just reflect back on your day and just say, you know, oh, this went well. Don't always just talk about the negatives. You know how sometimes at the end of the night you might say, oh, you did this, you did that, you did that. Then you're just ending it in a negative. Say, oh yeah, this went well. Talk about the good things as well, because a lot of marriages, no one really mentions the good things. You only mention it when there's a problem. You're not really, you know, putting the limelight on actually, oh, this went well today, or we did this, you know, we're doing well, this stuff. And sometimes when you just focus on the negatives or what someone's done wrong, you know, it can affect a person. Imagine in the night, you know, you have these reflection days and stuff like that, and you're just saying, oh, you did this, or you're upset about this. But if you actually think about it, not many people actually mention, oh, this went well today, we did this, we did that. So the first thing is actually, you know, praise what's good. Because then when you mention the bad stuff, it becomes a bit more fairer, and it becomes a bit more, the damage is less, essentially.
But it doesn't mean you need to start avoiding the bad stuff.
Don't avoid it.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Can't run away from problems, man.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's like I get what you're saying. Like obviously focus on the good stuff and maybe use subtle language. Like for example, you know, if you're gonna point out a negative, maybe balance it out by a positive as well. Maybe start off with a positive and then say the negative. But you know, like in, you know, tonight's party, you know, it went really, really good. But you know, it would have been nice if we had maybe done this or something like that. Or do you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
And another thing as well is when there's a problem, sometimes instead of directly stating that problem, think of a solution, because a lot of things you realize in marriage is you're arguing just for the sake of arguing. It becomes like you're saying your point, but think of a solution and use subtle language and say, okay, you know, I know this, we didn't agree on this, but maybe this, or give a maybe, or perhaps let's try this, or let's do that. So don't just say why you're upset. Think about what can make you happier.
So why do you guys think people do clash after that year mark? Because we know like that year mark is when people end the honeymoon phase. People come out of the honeymoon phase. Is it like a switch where like people are just like, all right, let me battle you now, let me argue with you now?
So bro, there's two factors that I can think of. One, very, very simple, is just one word: ego. Right, okay, fine, we'll add another word: pride. Right. The second factor that I say is, just going to expand on this a little bit more, just to make it a little bit more understanding. I think in your whole life, the main person you live with is your family. That relationship is pretty much unconditional, right? You don't have a choice. You have to deal with those personalities. You have to compromise. You deal with that, and you know, you obviously build a bond where you can take criticism from each other to some extent. With your friends, for example, you may have a best friend. We all are friends, right? And we've shared like some of our most deepest of the deepest conversations and secrets and all that sort of stuff.
Go on our YouTube and watch it.
But the thing is, you don't actually know the negatives and the cons about someone until you're actually living with them. And I know I've said that before as well, right? Now, the only people who've actually lived with an individual is only their own family, their parents. Parents, they will love their children regardless, full stop. Like, and they would fulfill pretty much every desire, every wish of the child, and they'll try making it happen, even what's not possible. Siblings, you have little disputes, but then as you grow up, most of the time you're more sort of like in your own zone, less interaction, and
You still put up with them.
you still put up with them. The only other person you're actually living with, who you will end up living with, is someone else who's lived in another lifestyle, who's lived in another household, under their own rules, under their own sort of, like, for example, lifestyle. Right? Maybe I'll repeat that.
Yeah, you did.
Right? So under their own lifestyle, yeah.
One more time.
So under their own lifestyle, yeah. So everyone's got their own lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? Now, obviously, when they're living with each other, they feel individually. The man is naturally feeling, you know what? I've sacrificed a lot. I'm having to change myself. I'm having to compromise. I'm having to do this. I'm having to do that for you, right? Why can't you do the same back for me? But everything is pretty much trying to... I mean, one person's measuring how much they're doing. The other person's measuring how much they're doing. The wife is also thinking the same thing. You know what? I fought for this. I done this, that, blah, blah, blah.
I left my house.
I left my house.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays guys are also leaving their houses, right? So, like, that's 50-50 now, yeah? But what I'm saying is that basically there's a lot of competition. It's not... I'm sorry, competition is probably the wrong word, but there's a lot of measuring. That, you know what, I compromised on this, I done this, I've changed my views on this, I've made this sacrifice for you. And before you know it, it becomes like a bit of a competition. And when it becomes a competition, then it leads on to the same thing, ego and pride.
Then it gets nasty.
And it starts getting nasty.
Yeah.
Right? So I think this is the dangerous cycle. Compromise isn't there anymore. People just ain't willing to compromise. Back in our parents' times, right? Or, you know, maybe 1-2 generations ago, right? They would have just dealt with the situation. They would live in sadness or whatever, or happiness, right? And you know what? By the end of it, they'll find the happiness, regardless. Like, do you know what I mean?
Can I raise a point? Yeah. So
Go for it.
you said, right, your family is unconditional love, right? You're born with them. You don't get to choose who your family are. You have to put up with them regardless how they are. Right? You can't do anything about it.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yeah. Do you think there's a reason why husbands and wives argue is because they can be like, you don't have to live with that. As in, like, you
100%.
can end it, sort of thing. It's like as if, like, it's in the back of your mind that, right, if things don't go to plan, if things don't work out, my option is, right, let's get divorced.
Yeah, there's always...
Do you know what I mean? Do you
there's
know where I'm
always
coming from?
that option B, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So you're not willing to put everything in.
Yeah.
You're 100% in it. Do you know what I mean? Because if you are clashing and if you are going through arguments and disagreements and stuff, it's always in the back of your mind, right, if this turns out to shit, last option is for me to get divorced.
Bro, ultimately, it comes down to options. Yeah? Why is it people don't mind or don't even... obviously, everyone tries to avoid divorce, yeah? Right? But why is it that option still exists? It's because after the option of divorce, there's always a backup option.
Because you try again.
There will be someone else. For everyone. For everyone. There's always someone else. Right? Yes, some people might struggle. Some people might take longer to pick and choose and whatnot type thing. There's always someone else out there. We live in... the population is massive. It's endless.
I'm not saying, like, obviously go into that with that mindset.
No.
I think you should always try whatever you can do to try and make the marriage work. But I reckon that is one of the reasons why people go through all these disagreements and arguments, is because they know.
Sorry,
no, you go for it.
Sorry, bro. I'm just gonna keep it
no,
short.
go
Yeah.
for it,
One thing I would say, yeah, before you're starting to go into that mindset of leaving someone, always consider this: how do you know that the next person you get with
Ain't gonna do the same.
Ain't gonna be any worse? Do you know what I mean? There's no guarantee. Why not make do with the devil you know? Like, do you know what I mean? Sorry, it's harsh saying, right? But you know, you better off with the devil you know than to
devil you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry to call partners devils, but
No,
it's just figure of speech.
I personally actually disagree with your point. I get it. Don't get me
With
wrong.
my point or his point?
Similar point.
Oh, both
but-
points.
Yeah, both. Personally disagree because I feel like if someone knew that they've always have that option, whether it's a last resort, whether it's the option there, then they wouldn't try to fight through that argument. They would be like, okay, if that's my option, what's the need of me going through extra stress of going
This is what I'm saying.
having these
This is what I'm
arguments
saying.
for that option? So that's
If
where
you know
I-
if you know the option exists,
Yeah.
you're obviously not going to be like trying to like fix things. You're obviously not going to be trying to like make things work. And I think this is the reason why people are arguing a lot these days, and this is why divorce rates are quite high now.
I get that, but do you get my point in the fact that why would someone entertain arguments if they knew that option exists? I feel like people argue a lot more because they want to avoid that option from occurring.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I said. You know, divorce is something that everyone would try to avoid. Right, I did say that, right? So divorce is always something that people would try avoiding. However, it still is an option, and that's what kind of gives an argument a bit of fuel.
Because you think about it, like your parents, right? You can argue them all you want. You can't choose you can't choose another parent. You can't choose new parents. So like they're your parents regardless. So you can have the maddest argument, but at the end of the day, they're still your parents.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You can't
Look,
change them.
bro. It's very, very simple. Yeah, very, very simple. Your parents, they can slap you for any reason whatsoever. Right? I'm just saying, my mom can slap me for even the smallest sort of thing. Can my mother-in-law do the same thing? Do you know what I mean? If my brother can slap me, my brother can punch me in the face. 1 week later, 2 weeks later, I'll be cool with him. Right? Never happened, by the way. Right? I'm just saying.
Sure.
Right? But now, if for example, a family member in my wife's side, for example, if they were to punch me in the face, do you think I'm gonna be forgetting that? You can't forget that.
Not
You
at
just
all.
can't. You can't. You know, there's some relationships that are a little bit more sensitive than others. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be mindful of that. No matter how you know, there's this whole Pakistani mentality. Oh yeah, you know what? Mother-in-law is like your mother. Father-in-law is like, no, they're not. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not. Right?
There's two different people, man.
They're two different people. Your mother has her own spot, her own space. She gave birth to you. Do you know what I mean? She went through everything with you. Your father did as well. Like, do you know what I mean? So there's no such thing. And bro, I hate to say it. There's a lot of people out there who seem to think that, yeah, you know what? Or, you know, if I call them mum, it's going to be, displacement. Like, bruv, don't call them mum, innit? I just call them auntie, call them uncle. Like, bruv, you're not going to be a mum. Like, do you know what I mean? I
get that.
Bro, in future, when I have son-in-laws, mothers, daughter-in-laws or whatever, I'm going to tell them straight, listen, don't call me dad, innit?
I'm not your dad, bruv.
I'm not your dad.
Don't
I'm not your dad.
Don't call me dad, bruv.
Don't call me dad.
I don't want that responsibility, G.
Because dads can still slap you. I can't slap you. Do you know what I mean? Or I will if there ain't no relationship. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Nah, that's actually true. I get that. But I think people do that as a level of respect because obviously it's your wife's mother. So people don't... Yes, they're not your direct mother or father. But again, it's only respectful for you to treat them the same way you treat your own parents.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, even though they may not be your
Bro.
parents, they're somebody else's parents.
bro, uncles
Regardless
and
if you're
aunties-
married to them or even if it's a parent of your friend. Like, I'm not going to go call them dad or mom.
No, but bro,
I'll show them
bro,
that
you can
same
still
level
call them
of respect.
uncle and auntie. That still is respect as well, innit?
Yeah, it depends on the family.
No,
Different
no.
families have different,
But what I'm trying to say is, say for example, if I met your parents, I'll call them auntie and uncle, right?
Yes.
And bro, that is still very, very respectful. That's not disrespecting them in any shape or form,
Yeah.
right? So why is it when mother-in-laws and father-in-laws, when a couple gets married, they automatically, a lot of people say, "Oh, mum, did you want this?" Or dad, did you want this? Like I hear what you're saying. People do it out of respect, but that same level of respect you have for your own parents is never going to be there. Unfortunately, the same level, and this is the realistic truth. It's never going to be there.
I think the way it's coming across is you're showing that any person that calls their in-laws mum or dad is bad.
Bro, the reason why I'm saying that is because to me it sounds fake.
Okay. And for me,
I don't see a problem with it.
I don't see a complete problem at all. Like for me, if somebody calls their father-in-law and mother-in-law, like mum or dad.
I mean, it just depends.
It's the same level of respect. I won't knock them down.
It just depends if you're comfortable, like calling them mum and
if
dad,
you're comfortable,
and if your wife or your husband like appreciates you calling them mum and dad, it's fine.
I feel like it makes no difference.
It's not gonna make my mum and dad like feel any less of parents or anything.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I think it just depends. Me personally. But again, I think I just want to clarify that people that do call their in-laws mum or dad, it shouldn't be seen as a bad thing.
I personally wouldn't.
You know,
It's not. Sorry, bro. Sorry. If I'm coming across as though it sounds bad, no, it doesn't sound bad because it's a very normal thing, right? But what I'm trying to say is that we need to move away from that. I think the newer generation definitely needs to move away from that because that level of respect that once upon a time people had for their mother-in-laws and father-in-laws is no longer there.
It depends on the
it's
individuals.
sad.
Innit?
Yeah, but
Individuals.
we hope it's not.
Yeah.
You know, because because at the end of the day, like for me, I know we're going on a sidetrack, but it's just I'm just thinking. Obviously, I'm not aware of lots of other families. Lots of other families do it completely different. But like with me, for example, like yes, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law will never ever be able to replace my actual parents. But I will still show them that same level of respect that I do show my parents. The same. It's not going to be any less. Definitely not anymore. But do you get my point? Like, yeah. So for me, again, you know, I will still show the same level of respect that I show my parents to my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, and that's because, to me, in my eyes, that's my wife's parents. The same way how I want to treat my parents, I understand that I feel like it bonds us even more when I'm treating her parents well.
Bro, I agree with you, yeah. So like, don't get me wrong. Like, as in, with my in-laws, for example, I would, I also try to treat them with utmost respect as much as possible. Like, as I would do with my own parents as well, right? I'm just saying, when a conflict happens, you still have to have a filter. You still have to have a filter with what you can say to your in-laws. What the father-in-law, what the mother-in-law can say to the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law. Do you know what I mean? There has to be that filter, right? Because as a son, I may not be offended what my mum might say to me. She can say whatever she wants to me. Sakib, you're such a useless piece of shit, this, that, blah, 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 and whatnot. But if my in-laws was to say that to me, will I be able to hack it the same way?
No, I hear that.
I completely get that, and that is such a fair point
because you flip that as well.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want your mum saying that to your wife, would you?
Exactly.
And the same way, let's change it. Let's switch it up a little bit. To their daughter, they can say, oh, you know what? तुम हमेशा हांडी जला देती हो, this, that, or like, तुम हमेशा like, as in, you always ruin the food. You're just not getting it how to cook chicken or something. Like, I'm just giving an example. The daughter-in-law, you say it once, bro, it's gonna pull a nerve. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm just saying, I'm not using anyone's example or anything like that. I'm just simply saying that there's key differences that mothers can get away with a lot more than other relatives within the household.
Completely agree. I just want to clarify as well, because we're going back to the question that we're talking about with the relationship, why after a year, after the honeymoon phase, why are people having arguments and stuff like that. I think one factor which I firmly believe in is if you actually think about yourself, this time last year, did you have that? Are you the same person that you were today? Essentially,
no.
Your mindset is different. So this is where it's coming. So when you've got married and you're newly married, you think, or you do know at that time how your partner is. Just like, for example, me and my wife, this time last year, okay, this is what I thought, this is how she is, this is how it is. But once the year goes by, because you're living with them, you don't really see the sudden change. But then eventually it creeps up on you and you realize, hold on, we're both changing as people. And that's where the problems come, because you haven't realized, or you're not, because when you live with someone for so long, you become used to it. But say, for example, you go to your long distance relative's house last year, and then you go the following year or next year. And then they'll be like, oh, you changed. You're saying this now. You're saying this differently. But your wife wouldn't, because you're living with them every day. So I think that sometimes can be a cause of arguments and things like that, because you're not realizing that you're both changing as people. So your views or how you react or how you process things is becoming different. And the main word for that is adapting. So that's one thing as well, which I think newly married couples should realize, is that the person you're marrying is not going to be like this for the rest of your life. You know, every time you evolve as a person, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. But my point is that you have to have an understanding that you're both changing constantly, and you kind of have to work around it. So it's constantly about adapting. So when you're having an argument about something, right, this time next year you might actually agree with what you're arguing about. It's true, you know. So sometimes you kind of have to take a deep breath, and you kind of have to kind of see the overall situation, you know, and always tell each other this, remind each other, like, you know, we're always going to be constantly evolving and adapting. And hopefully that can, once people realize that, sometimes it can cause a lot less arguments happening in some factors. I know it doesn't directly correlate with the argument itself, but I think realizing that people do change, and it's not a bad thing. When some people say, oh, you've changed, people always assume it's such a bad thing. Change is good. That's the whole plan. You're getting married and you want to evolve together. And I think realizing that is the first step.
Smash that.
Let's wrap it up, man.
Yeah, man.
Before we wrap it up, we'll just go across the room. What's one advice? Because we haven't really talked about advice, and I know we're not advisors or, you know,
I'll say,
what advice would you guys
I'll say, look, the fact that you are arguing and disagreeing, I don't think it's such a bad thing, because you gotta remember, your whole marriage isn't gonna be like calm. It's not gonna be cushy. Your whole marriage, it's gonna be a rocky road. There's going to be times when you are going to experience a lot of turbulence, and there's going to be some moments where you're going to be feeling down or having arguments and stuff. I'll say embrace it. Don't get too worked up about it. You know, like, these kind of things are going to make you stronger. And it's about how you deal with your arguments is what determines how strong your marriage is going to be. Because arguments, you're going to have arguments regardless. Whether you're good or you're bad, you're going to have arguments. But when you come back from the argument, if you do settle in a good way, and if you come back to it and you love each other even more after the argument, that makes for a better marriage. So I'll say embrace it. Don't worry too much about it. Just try and figure out what ticks, what doesn't. For him, he probably thinks, you know what, I need space. I need time to think. I need time to reflect. Therefore, just let him do that. That's his style. Don't go at him for it. You know what I mean? Your style is probably like, I need to settle it right here, right now. That's fine. That's your style. But just come to an agreement, sit down together, and then move forward.
Solid. Bro, I probably won't say anything much different to yours. The only thing that I'll just extend your point by adding mine, and that is that just be mindful that basically over time you just don't want it to turn into something that is very normal for yourself to always back down, or for the other person to back down. Like, there's going to come a point where the lion is going to roar. Whether the lion comes out of the female or the male, doesn't matter. But one of yous will end up exploding. You don't want it to get to a point where basically either one person ends up with suppressed feelings and you can't voice yourself and all that sort of stuff. You're better off coming out of that hurdle if that is the case, right? But you don't want it to get to that in the first place. So just try finding the balance. As you said, try approaching it another way. If you can't approach it on day one, maybe approach it on day two. Don't let it get to a point where an argument gets heated. If it does, just learn to agree to disagree. And, you know, just realize that basically you're not always going to get your point across to your partner. You might be able to get it across maybe 5 out of 10 times. And same with him as well. But you have to drop your ego. You have to drop your pride. Both people have to always drop your pride and ego in order for you to be able to think cool-headedly and actually try reaching resolution.
Smash it.
Very good. And I think for me, I don't know whether it's advice, but it's just for myself as well to reflect on as well is, first thing I want to say is, when you have arguments, right, not talking about major ones like cheating and things like that. I'm just talking just petty arguments and things like that. Like, for example, both of you guys as well reflect an argument that you may have had last year. Right now, it's unheard. Like, you completely forgot about it. It no longer exists. So for me, the point that I'm trying to make is life is too short. Right? You just remember why you married the person that you decided to marry, and always remember that whenever you do have arguments, sooner or later it will be forgotten completely about. It's important you resolve it at that time, because that will reflect on your mood in the upcoming days and upcoming months. But if you actually think about it in the long scheme of, like, let's say your trail of your marriage life, that's nothing. You know, you probably will forget it by next year. It won't even come into your mind anymore. So I think sometimes you have to have that sort of understanding that, do you know what? Okay, we're having an argument right now. Our moods are both shit, but just know that once it's nipped in the bud and is resolved, yes, the mood is still going to be a bit shit, but then eventually it's going to be something that we've completely forgotten, because an argument is a small minority of your marriage. You're going to have so many other memories and so many other good memories that's going to overlap those little arguments. So it's always good to just reflect and also appreciate the good. That's what I just wanted to clarify on. Like, every time I've seen it and I've heard so many stories of marriages, they're going bad, but that's because they're not mentioning and you're not discussing the good things that's happening in your marriage. So it's always important to kind of, it's what we were talking about in the previous podcast about the spark and reigniting the spark. Try and be on that honeymoon phase for the rest of your life. You know, find ways to work it together, whether it means going on holiday, whether it means, you know, giving more time to your other half or going and doing activities. Never become too complacent. Life is too short.
Smash it, boys. Good advice. Good speech.
Solid.
Yeah.
It's time for president, man. It's time for president from Bangladesh, bruv.
I think right now we need a president for Bangladesh. And do you know what?
It's becoming a bit of a counselling thing.
It is.
Bro, you know one thing? We should just become like expert psychologists or something like that.
Tell me more.
We should literally start offering like proper one-to-one services, isn't it?
Wallahi, bro. This is what I'm saying,
Bro,
bro.
like, let them all come in, and it's mainly women, isn't it? Come on, man. Men, come on, bring some of your problems to us as well.
Bring them in.
Bring them in.
Bring them in. Come on, bring them in. Let's sort them out.
Right, boys.
Yeah,
Let's wrap it
good
up
one.
right there, man. It was a good episode today.
Solid.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace out.
Take care.